Good evening. Thank you for coming tonight. It is my pleasure to be backing Mr. Glenn Grandis this evening for his run for council. I've had the pleasure of knowing Glenn now for only a few years, but in that time, I have grown to greatly respect and admire him. I serve on a committee with him. Glenn, who is the treasurer of the committee that I'm on, really takes point, and he organizes it, he manages it, he takes his tasks very seriously, and my observations of him is that he gets things done. He was recently working on a budget for us. He finished it on time, and I know this doesn't sound like a big deal, but for anybody who's ever tried to do a budget with 15 different opinions all chiming in at the same time, it's an impressive feat, particularly for a city thing. So I got acquainted with him over the last couple of years, and I say this with all due respect, I truly gained a level of admiration and respect for you that I haven't seen or haven't had for any politician, certainly a politician for that matter. But of course that's part of Glenn's charm. He's not really a politician. He's a man of charity. He donates his time to multiple organizations. He is an organizer. He is fiscally conservative. He puts people together. He gets things done. He motivates and inspires. He doesn't dictate. And he is an outstanding candidate for any office. And we are truly lucky to have somebody like him running for the position of city council. And in part, that's because we've never really met anybody quite like him, and also in part because this next election is really a relevant one, a very pivotal one for Fountain Valley. We have 3 seats opening up, which everybody knows, but not so well known is the fact that only one of those seats is being filled by an incumbent, which means we will definitely have new blood in city council. And leadership matters in this city. Bad leadership gets us new taxes. Bad leadership means that pensions aren't funded. Bad leadership means that we end up with a homeless camp in my backyard, which I had to deal with for a couple of years. That was a lot of fun. And bad leadership means that zoning isn't done right, and our children end up paying for it. Good leadership is all the opposite of those things, but you don't get good leadership accidentally. So we are lucky and privileged to have somebody like him running for office, and that is the reason that I am supporting him so much. If you would, I had a glass around here somewhere, please join me in a toast to Glenn and to thanking him for running and to supporting him and to this evening. So thank you, Glenn. Salute. Bahayam. So with that, I'll let Glenn introduce himself.
Wallace, thank you so much. I so appreciate your support. It means so much to me. I'm blown away about this event tonight. We were expecting about 75 people that RSVP'd, and I think we have close to 150 here tonight. So I really appreciate it. It means so much to me, and it means so much for me to know that you guys are here for me, hopefully to earn your support tonight. So I take nothing for granted. I'm here to tell you how I feel. I'm gonna, go over some of the issues that are important, I think, to our city, and I'm just gonna shoot straight. I'll tell you the way I think, and hopefully I'll earn your support by doing that. But before we get to that, I first off have to thank the volunteers who helped tonight. So all of you guys who volunteered working the desk and everything else, thank you so much. It takes a team. I can't do it without everybody, so thank you. I also, at the very beginning, one of the smartest things that I did is I put together a committee, and I'm really excited about this committee. And most of them came to me and said, hey, we want to help. And we put together this committee, and I'm going to call them up real quick, and I want to thank them. So first, Wallace, if you come back on up. Come on up, Wallace. And then we've got John and Carla Etheridge with Seashore Pest Control. John and Carla. Bill and Tracy Cameron. Bill's with the Planning Commission, and Tracy's with the Community Foundation. Susan Naubacher, who works here over at Los Cab, and she just does a tremendous job with everything. Matt Taylor is with the Summerfest Committee. He's going to be a little bit late, but Liana is here. Liana, if you'd step up, please. Janice Vong, one of our community leaders. Then we've got Al Shireen and also Annette Shireen. Most people know Al as Annette's husband, but Annette's in Michigan right now, so she couldn't be here. Mary, come on up. She's filming, so she doesn't want to walk up yet. And then we got Xenia, who takes care of all of our social media. Xenia Joyner, come on up. Prem Balani, who is the president of the Community Foundation, is a big part of our committee, but he is traveling in Minnesota tonight. Lynn and Kurt Seaton with Fountain Valley Living Magazine. So come on up. Joanne Collins. Where's Joanne? She's just great.
She's out there working.
Oh, she's working out front. Oh, no, there she is. Okay, come on up, Joanne. And Molly. Where's Molly? Come on up, our senior liaison. So, this is, I mean, somebody who runs for Congress or somebody who runs for Senate or something has a committee like this. I am so blessed and so lucky. We meet on a regular basis, a couple times a month, and as we get closer to the election, we'll be meeting on a weekly basis. But what I want to do just really quick is have everybody just say a quick something on, why they feel it's important to be part of the committee. So Wallace, you already said something if you want to say more.
Grandis for President 2024. Is the hat conspicuous enough? I was hoping that I could blend in. So, no, I've spoken, but I want just to reemphasize my support for the value that you bring to the council and how much we need somebody like you.
Hi, my name is Bill Cameron. I'm on the Planning Commission here in Fountain Valley, and I'm also a member of the Fountain Valley Community Foundation, of which Glenn is a founding director, and I think founder of the foundation, and which he's raised hundreds of thousands of dollars in the community to support charitable organizations. He's a very successful businessman. And he's a smart guy. I think I first met him about 5 years ago. We played golf together, and he's a little better golfer than I am.
And that's not saying
hard.
much.
But that's not hard. and he looks at an issue and he's able to weigh both sides, sometimes playing devil's advocate just to stimulate conversation. And that's a quality that's important, and he's the right guy at the right time in the right place. Thanks for running, Glenn.
Thank you.
I'm Tracy Cameron, and I'm a director of the Community Foundation also, so I work with Glenn on that board. And I enjoy working with him. He is absolutely not afraid. You will hear some people in this campaign speaking, using the term, I don't want somebody who just gets along to gets along. I think that's the expression. Glenn is not that person. Go along to get along. That's right. Go along to get along. Glenn is the person who looks at all sides of the issues, and he does sometimes bring up things that no one else has thought of to make us think on the foundation board about exactly how we want to do things. And his running of the foundation twice a year, poker tournaments, he is simply the most amazing, best MC and director of that event. He is a leader we need in this town.
Some of our poker players here.
Hi, I'm Susan Castellanos, and I am part of the Schools Foundation. I'm also the president of the Superintendent Parents Council that goes for Fountain Valley School District. And we work with Glenn on the different poker tournaments and the different way that all the different schools in Fountain Valley can raise money. And Glenn, how much has the foundation raised for schools for nonprofits?
This is our 30th tournament coming up that I've directed, and we've raised over $700,000 for the nonprofits.
The type of leadership we need in Fountain Valley. It's going to be a great change to have him once he's elected, because he's in as far as I'm concerned.
I think Glenn Grandis has public service in his DNA. He probably makes more of an effort than anybody I've ever met. He gives more of himself, certainly. I've got to know Glenn real well over the last 5 to 7 years. through softball and golf and all these events and all the many things he volunteers for. And I can tell you that he's honest, objective, and he'll be fiscally responsible. But most importantly, he's the type of person you want on our city council.
Hello everyone, I'm Xenia Joyner. I'm with Fountain Valley Fit Body Boot Camp, and I've worked with Glenn for 4 years now, 4.5 years, through the POCA tournament and our 5K that we sponsor. And Glenn has just always been, just not only is he a great businessman, but like Wallace said, he's a community man. And that's what I really love about him. And recently he helped me with a really hard decision, a business decision, and I'm so proud to call him my friend. Thank you.
Glenn handing me a microphone. Okay, so I've known Glenn for over 15 years now in the community, and Wallace used a couple of terms tonight: respect and admiration. And most of you know me. I'm a little bit of a jokester. I don't take a whole lot of things seriously. One of the things I do take seriously is community and our city. I grew up in Fountain Valley. I've been here since I was 4 years old. I moved away for college and came back with my wife in 2000. Glenn has done more in this community than any person that I've ever known. And that, for me, is what brings me to his camp. We don't see eye to eye on everything. Glenn and I politically don't see eye to eye, but for our city, for Fountain Valley, Glenn is absolutely the right guy. I'm so proud to be supporting you, and I thank you for letting me be part of your team.
Hi, my name is Carla Eckridge, and I just echo what everyone has said about Glenn. He's such an amazing guy, and we've raised our 3 daughters here in Fountain Valley, and just the work that you've done for our community and for our youth is just amazing, and you truly have a servant's heart, and we would just be blessed to have you on our city council.
Oh, thank you so much.
Leanna Taylor, and my husband Matt Taylor and I are so excited and happy to be able to help Glenn and support him. I think that I echo many of the thoughts and that others have already expressed. We are trying to help him we're the communication professors, and so we're helping. I kind of joke that we're the Sam and Toby of the West Wing for you West Wing fans, but we're excited. We think that it's so important to help Glenn fulfill his desire to just give back to the city. He doesn't have a personal agenda. Everything that he does is for the good of the people who live here, and that's one of the things that we really want to support his efforts in, and so we're very excited to be part of this. And Matt, sorry you couldn't be here. He's hopefully going to be here after his committee meeting.
Hi, my name is Janice Long. I'm with Janice Long Insurance and Financial Services. What solidified my support for Glenn is knowing that he spent basically his entire life volunteering for our community. And so I know that he's running for city council because he truly loves our community, and it's with his heart and with no ulterior motives. And so that's why you have my support. I'm so proud to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Joanne Collins, and I'm president of the Activities Committee for the Fountain Valley Community Foundation. As president, I go to the board meetings, and Glenn keeps such a hold on that money that's going out to different places, and he will listen to a presentation, and then he'll say, wait a minute, run that by me again, and he'll work with the numbers, and I've heard him on numerous occasions say, no, I really can't do that. That's just not good for our foundation. I've also been at meetings where Glenn is somewhere else, coming in late or maybe not even there, and the rest of the board members say, let's hurry up and pass this before Glenn gets here. So, yeah, I think he's really good with money, and he's not going to spend it frivolously. So, I'm happy to be on your team, Glenn.
Thank you, Joe.
That's the limit of it.
Just have to get cozy.
We've known Glenn for 20 years, but that is actually not why we're supporting him. We're not supporting him just because he's a friend. Kurt and I, at different times in our careers, have been the news editor for Fountain Valley under the Orange County Register. So between the two of us, we know the business of the city.
And when Glenn first jumped into this, we knew immediately he was absolutely a solid candidate and the right person, because of those 20 years, we have watched him with his financial decisions. We know he is business savvy. And Glenn is looking for the future of Fountain Valley. We have an HH that Glenn supported with us, knowing that it was necessary for our community, but it's got an end. And he is already looking serious ways for how are we going to make an income now so that we're okay 20 years from now, and so that our generations ahead will be fine. So he's looking for sustainable income for the community, and he is the right man to find that for us. So we're very proud to call you friend and to call you our future mayor.
Glenn and we go way back with Glenn. We are members of Fountain Valley Kiwanis Club with Glenn. I think Glenn was a member of the Kiwanis Club before I was born. He's been around for a very long time. And Kiwanis, like a lot of great organizations in town, is all about volunteerism. And there's no harder worker in any town than a person who volunteers, and Glenn epitomizes that. And he's also, as you've probably heard, he's a great businessman, and you have to remember that the city is a business, and it has to be run fiscally, and I just can't say enough for everything he's done in this community. And on top of all that, as I've said before about Glenn, I know a lot about character, and he is just, character is everything in these days in life, and he's great for it. So thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Molly, and I'm kind of working with the senior citizens around because I see a lot of them. And I first met Glenn at a poker tournament, one of the first ones. And I've gotten to kind of know him a little bit since then, but mostly I got to know him in 2014 because he has supported two issues that I'm extremely passionate about. And so I am all for Glenn to be our next city council and our mayor, and I back him 100%. He's my guy.
Great group of people supporting me, and again, I could not do this without all of them, so I really appreciate that. Also, I want to introduce Shane right here. Shane is with Fountain Valley High School, and he is a junior, going to be a junior, and he's filming today. He's doing a high school project, so this is for the Barron Broadcast News. So thank you, Shane. All right, getting back to Fountain Valley City Council issues. Next, I want to invite up Matt Cortez. He's with the Orange County Association of Realtors, who I'm very, very, very proud of to say that I have their support. So, Matt, if you would like to say a few words.
You've got to press sliders. Right now? I'm just on True.
Thank you, Glenn. It's an honor to be up here and speak on behalf of Glenn. I really appreciate that. And what a great turnout. This is way bigger than I thought this was going to be. Great job. So as you mentioned, my name is Matt Cortez. I'm a realtor, member of Orange County Realtors. I'm also on the Political Affairs and Elections Committee for the Realtors. I'm kind of like the liaison between the Realtors and the City Council. And although they don't endorse any candidate, I wanted to come in here and speak on my own behalf and just thank you for running. I think you're doing a great job. And there are a lot of challenges that the city's going to be facing here, a lot of economic challenges, challenges that are going to affect the middle class, that are going to affect homeowners, affect renters, affect the residents of Fountain Valley. And Glenn gets it. He understands what those challenges are, and he's prepared to steer the ship of the city council to meet those challenges in the near future. And I've interviewed a lot of candidates, and the one thing that stood out, and I really like asking, is I'll ask a candidate, what happens when you're on the city council and you have a room full of 100 people, angry people, yelling, telling you to vote one way, but you believe that the vote should be the other direction? And I asked Glenn, what would you do? And without any hesitation, he said he would vote with his convictions. And that's the kind of person that we need for city council. Not someone who's just going to listen to any crowd that comes up and wants to sway your vote. Someone who stands by, will look at both sides of the issue, then make the right decision in the best interest of all of us. So Glenn, once again, on behalf of realtors everywhere, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Matt. And again, I want to thank the Orange County Association of Realtors. They made the maximum donation to the campaign, so I really appreciate their support. Thank you so much. Next, I want to call up Jimmy Cataline. He's with the Fountain Valley Police Department Officers Association. Come on, this is Fountain Valley Police Officer. Let's hear it for him.
Hello, everybody. I'm just going to keep this really brief, but I've been talking to Glenn for a couple months now, and we've been working on getting ourselves kind of set up where we want to be as far as an association and kind of setting ourselves apart. So, as the Fountain Valley POA or Peace Officer Association, we're really proud to be here and show some early financial support for Glenn. We're working on finishing all of our endorsements soon as the applications come to a close. And Glenn is a very hard worker and he loves this city. It's very apparent in my conversations with him. As the association, we believe that he's the top candidate here, and he wants to protect and support his police and everybody involved in Fountain Valley. And as far as the Police Officers Association is concerned, we're very happy to be behind him. So there could be a lot more coming from us soon. Thank you.
That's really exciting for me. I really appreciate the support of the officers, in our city. So again, there's so many people here. It's kind of funny. I see, I've been to tell you a little bit about myself. There's a lot of new faces for me here that I kind of know or I haven't met before, and I so appreciate you guys being here. So those of you who know me well, you may hear some things again. But I'm going to go over a little bit about who I am so that you get to know me better. So first off, I'm a 38-year resident of Fountain Valley. I went to Fountain Valley High School. My kids went to Fountain Valley through the schools. I like to say my Eagle Scout son, Philip, played football at Fountain Valley High School and graduated with honors from UCLA. And that has nothing to do with anything other than I'm really proud of my son. So, which unfortunately he's got a cold and he tried to make it here and I told him to stay in bed. But so I'm a long time member of the community. And what's kind of funny, I see Eric Schumann over here, and I want to say Marissa Van Lyten, Marissa Dennis over there, classmates of mine from Fountain Valley High School. And so one thing that was brought up is about fundraising, and that's really, I think, what I'm known for best in our city. So between the poker tournament, and for those who don't know what that is, that's not just we're out there and gambling. It's a nonprofit event where 95% of every dollar that comes into the event goes to the various nonprofits in our city. And we have raised, like we said earlier, this will be our 30th tournament, over $700,000, of which 95% is pure profit, and it goes right back to the nonprofits in our city. I've also helped raise money for autism. I have a son with autism, and that's one thing that's really near and dear to my heart. I've helped raise over $300,000, so you put those two together, I've helped raise for nonprofits over $1 million. And thank you. Matter of fact, we mentioned about Kiwanis. One last thing on autism. So, a little funny thing. If you go to YouTube and look at Alex dropping puck on YouTube, that's my son and I going out to center ice of an Anaheim Ducks game and dropping the puck at center ice. My son has severe autism, and you see when I walk out there that I have a real good grab of his coat on the back or his jersey, because I really had no idea when he got out there if he would lay down, if he'd run across the ice, what he would do. He has very little speech, and we couldn't really prep him for what was going to happen, but he was a champion. And if you watch that video, one thing that's kind of funny is the captains of the two teams, it's the Ducks and the Coyotes, come out there, and I'm a huge Ducks fan. I'm an original season seat holder for now 25 years, but the captain, Scott Niedermeyer, wins the face-off. The home team always wins that little ceremonial face-off. And he picks up the puck and he hands it to my son. And my son looks at it, turns it over, and handed it back to him. He was like, I don't want this. It's really funny, that video. And Shane Doan, who's the captain of the Coyotes, the video is not super clear, but if you watch it, he starts cracking up. It's so funny. So anyway, look at that. So again, I've been a big fundraiser. I'm also, as we mentioned, the founding director of the Fountain Valley Community Foundation. That's the nonprofit arm of the city. And that's appointed by the city council and our mayor. And I was one of the founding directors. So I've been reappointed, I think, 6 times now. And that's something that I'm really proud of, that they keep asking me to come back. I must be doing something right. And yes, I spend the money from the foundation like it's my own. So I'm very, very careful with that money. So when I started, the thing that I'm most proud of with the foundation is when we first started, we sat at a table with a blank piece of paper and was like, what are we gonna do? And one of the things, and Barbara is one of the founding directors too, one of the things that I'm most proud of and push for is that we were supposed to be just the non-profit arm of the city, so if somebody wanted to donate, for example, a pool table to the senior center, they could do it and get a tax write-off. That was really what it was originally set up for people to make donations to the city. And what we pushed for, and I really strive for, was to support and be a liaison for all the nonprofits. So the 5K that we put on, the poker tournaments we put on, the booths at Summerfest, all the things that we help do is always trying to help all nonprofits. And that's the thing I'm most proud of being part of the foundation. The other thing, there's quite a few people here with the football team that I know. I saw Tammy Tipple and Renee Berube, and there's a bunch of people. And the reason being is I was a volunteer for the coaching staff for 12 years. And during the games, I'm gonna trip and fall here. During the games, you'd see me up in the booth with the headsets on, and I would tell the coaches the tendencies, what's happening, and at halftime I'd go down there, what plays are working, what's not, etc. And I was in charge of all the film. And my job when I first started was, after the games at 10 o'clock, I'd go back to the football office, and this is back early 2000s, so technology isn't what it is today. And I'd wait till about 2 o'clock in the morning until all the film uploaded. And then I would stay there till 6 in the morning, breaking down all the film. So when the kids came in at 8 o'clock in the morning, I got a 2-hour rest in there. I'd go back and, help with all the film with the coaches so that they were well prepared. So I appreciate the support of Fountain Valley football. I'm also a member of the Kiwanis Club. And that's a community service group, if you're not familiar with it. And this is my 31st year as a member of Kiwanis. So I've been doing volunteering my whole life. And before Kiwanis, the high school level is Key Club. And I was in Key Club at Fountain Valley High School. And I was in Circle K, not the convenience store, but that was the college level at Cal State Long Beach. And I was the president of the community service group there. And Eric Schumann was in Key Club with me back in the day. And Marissa was in Kiwanettes, it's now Kiwins. So my entire life basically has been volunteering, as most people have said tonight. Let me tell you a little bit about business-wise. So I have an MBA, so I graduated with an accounting degree and went back, got my MBA. And I started a business with $1,000 out of my garage when I was 19 years old. And in 1990, if you look online on the Inc. 500, my business was number 28. I grew it to be number 28 on the Inc. 500. It's the computer industry, and I've been working in the computer industry ever since. So not a lot of people know what I do for a living. You would think that all I do is volunteer, but I actually sell high-tech computer equipment to cities and to municipalities and to the county. So the County of LA, County of Orange, all these different cities. So I have the experience of what's the right way to do procurement, because I've seen it from the other side, what the right bid processes are, how do you go to bid, and how do you get the best prices on stuff. So I will work very hard, and I bring that experience to the City Council. All right, so you could say, well, great, you're a volunteer, but how does that translate? So I think by me showing all these activities and my enthusiasm of working in the community, that I'm dedicated to the Fountain Valley residents. And one thing I want to just clear up on what Matt said, if there's 100 people in the room and they come in and they're all saying we should do A, and I think we should do B, what I will do and what I will vote for is what's best for Fountain Valley residents. Not what anybody says. I will do what's best for the Fountain Valley residents. That's what I care about. As John Etheridge mentioned, he and I don't agree on absolutely everything. You know, you can't agree with everything on any, but what I will do is I won't vote just what I think. I'll vote what I think is best for the residents, because that's who matters. And again, that poll, the FV Strong, so we've had over 600 people, and you can see the results of what people have said is important. To me, that's what matters, what you guys think is important. And I think it'd be interesting for you to see, you know, what some of your neighbors and what the other residents of Fountain Valley think is important. So what I want to do now, I'm going to take a couple of questions. I don't know if, Kenny?
So you do all kinds of things. So why does Glenn Grandis want to run for city council?
So why do I want to do that? That's a great question. Thanks, Kenny. So, you know, first off, I think that I have the experience, the expertise to make a difference in our city. That's kind of the tagline that I use, making a difference in Fountain Valley, because that's what it's all about. Every person in here can make a difference, and that's what I try to do every day in Fountain Valley, and that's why I want to run. The next few years is really going to define what happens in our city. We have a lot of issues that are going on, and we need to make sure we have the right people now to set us up for the next 20 years. You know, that's really important. So what the decisions we make today are going to affect what happens, not just for us, but for our children and everything that goes on over the next 20 years. The other thing is, like I said, I've lived here my whole life. I love Fountain Valley. You know, those of you who may go to Edison, or you notice I never wear anything green because I love Fountain Valley. That's the sports part of it. So, you know, I've been here my whole life. I bought my first house in Fountain Valley at 21 years old, and I've just never left. I've always upgraded, and I live right next to City Hall now, so I can just walk there, right? Yes, Barbara?
You had just said we face a lot of issues. Could you elaborate on what you think the issues are?
Absolutely. So, perfect. So here's the 5-point plan that I have for Fountain Valley. This is what I think are the important issues. So the first one is fiscal discipline. Fiscal discipline, we need to spend within our means. We have $78 million worth of debt in our city. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. Our city's in debt, $78 million. We need to pay this down. And one thing that I will ask before we spend any dollar is, will that dollar be better spent paying down this debt? Because for the longest time, we've spent just interest only, been paying off interest only, and not the principal. And those of you who own credit cards know that's not the way to do it. So I'll be really, really careful with no wasteful spending. And I think I've proven that, and Joanne, thank you for saying that about the foundation, that's true. So, you know, I make sure that when all the money that we take in, it's hard-earned money. We work hard for that, and I'll spend it to make sure it's always in the best interest of our residents. That does not mean I won't invest in what's right. That doesn't mean I'm not going to spend money, but we're going to spend money where it makes sense to spend money. The next thing is no new taxes. So I was a supporter of HH. It was very important that we did HH. This last year, we brought in over $6 million. We had a $6 million surplus for the first time. But that doesn't mean we could go spend that $6 million. What we have to do is we have to pay off that debt first. We do have some aging infrastructure and some stuff that hasn't been done for a long time, so I do agree that we need to fix some of that first as well. But we have to make sure that we're paying down our debt. The other thing is supporting new business development. You know, the HH goes away in 20 years. What I want to do is I want to make sure we're supporting new business. We have the crossings area. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the crossings, but it's over off the freeway by Euclid, back in that corner over there. And it's just been rezoned. So Crossings is happening, but what does that mean? That means that it used to be zoned for light manufacturing, now it's mixed use. So it gives the property owners the right to develop the area if they choose to. If they choose not to, they don't have to. But one thing that I will do is make sure if they do want to develop the area, that we're bringing in the right types of business into that area. Ones that bring revenue to our city and is what our citizens want, those types of business. Everybody wants some nice restaurants in Fountain Valley, some higher end restaurants. You know, the other thing that I want to do is I want to bring in a hotel, a nice high-end hotel, because per square foot, and it's a great spot next to the freeway there because it doesn't impede on any of the residents, but per square foot, we bring in more revenue with a hotel than we do any other kind of business in our city. And the reason being is there's an occupancy tax. And the best part about an occupancy tax is it's not Fountain Valley residents paying that tax. It's visitors who are coming into Hyundai and coming into Kingston, who right now our hotels are basically at 100% occupancy. They're going to other cities and spending their money there. We need them to spend their money in Fountain Valley. The other thing is responsible and measured growth. So what we don't want in this area, and I've heard some people say this is high density housing and monstrosities, I will never go for that. That's not what we want in that area. What we want is reasonableness. So along anything that's a residential border, right now the law says you could have up to 2 stories. We'll make sure that stays 2 stories against anything that's residential. Anything that's within the Crossings area a little bit deeper, then we could go to 4 stories there. We could get in some more housing into this. Now, we're not going to put in high density housing, but I think there's 470 units or whatever that's allocated over a very large area. I support trying to bring in some lower price homes, because I know with my kids, they can't afford to live in Fountain Valley. So, you know, to bring in something like that, I think is really important. So, but it's responsible and measured growth. We're not going to go crazy. And the last thing is the homelessness issue. And this is a big, tough issue that we have to face. One thing that I feel very strongly about is the first thing we have to remember with the homeless issue is that the homeless people are human. And we have to be compassionate, and we have to be caring, and we have to remember that's somebody's brother, somebody's sister, somebody's mother, somebody's father, whomever it is. So we have to make sure we do things compassionately. Now, that doesn't mean that we allow a bunch of homeless people to move into our parks either. That doesn't work. One thing, I met with our police chief, and right now we have one officer, Officer Vega, who has a resource from the county that goes out on patrol 1 day a week, and he knows the homeless people in our city. He provides resources, he tells them where they could go to get food, where they could go to get housing, and tries to help those that want help. And if they do want help, and believe me, nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, because I can't speak that way, but I wouldn't want to be homeless. And think about it, it's so expensive to live in this area. You lose a job, and 6 months later, you know, it's really tough. But the point being is, we have a resource there, and I talked to the chief, and we're talking about, one thing I'd like to do is double that. That's still not a lot, but you know, maybe 2 days a week we do that. Now, the other thing is, if somebody's doing something that's against the law, and we have to make sure that we protect our children and protect our parks at the same time. But I'd like to do it as compassionately as possible. So that's my thoughts on homelessness. That's my 5-point plan. This has gone kind of really long, so I'm going to stop there. If anybody else has any other questions, they want to come up. Oh my gosh, the most important thing. John Etheridge, can you come on up for a second? You have something you want to talk about, don't you?
So I'm not the most important thing, right? We had a lot of words thrown around tonight. Thank you so much, Glenn, for your words and your thoughts on the city and what we need as a city for growth, for the future. Why are we here tonight, folks? It's all right, somebody knows. Somebody here knows. It's called a fundraiser, right? Tonight is a fundraiser. We even had a question about how to give money, right? So tonight, what we're here to do is to raise money to get Glenn elected to city council, right? Like Wallace said earlier, we have 3 seats open. Only one incumbent is going to fill those 3 seats.
Maybe.
Maybe not, right? Only one potential incumbent. Let's look at it in those terms. But in any event, Glenn has proven himself the right guy for that job. He says he's extremely careful with money. That's how he describes himself. What he is cheap, right? You guys know what that means. He's cheap. And in a good way, because the poker tournament is such a wonderful example of how he runs things like a business. It's a charity event, right? We run that event, Glenn runs that event to help others in the community, whether it's autism, whether it's helping fight childhood cancer, whether it's helping Fountain Valley High School get band equipment, whether it's whatever your passion is. I'm involved in a lot of things here in the city of Fountain Valley. I'm also involved in a lot of things in Huntington Beach. So I'm going to talk 2 seconds. Does he want to kick me off already? No, go ahead. So I'm also involved in a lot of things in Huntington Beach. I came to Glenn and said, how can I run your poker tournament in Huntington? Because we need, right, it's a bigger city, so we need the money too. We have a football team, and we have autistic kids, and we have people that have cancer, and we need to help those people too. And Glenn said, just bring them to ours. Hang on. Think about this. Glenn has it so wired that if you pay the $50, now it's only 25, sorry. If you pay, it used to be when we started, if you paid the $50 to get into the tournament, your charity, irregardless of what your charity was, got $70. How does that work? How does that work? I'm not a smart guy, right?
Vince Tucker. It goes to Vince Tucker.
Goes to Vince. So anyway, how does that work? Glenn runs it like a business because more money comes in, right? We sell beers, we sell wine, we have rebuys. Anybody who knows what poker is, that's just a trick to get you to spend more money, but the money goes to charity. So I'm going to talk about a couple of quick things that I made myself some notes, right? We talked, one of the things that Bill said earlier was character counts, right? We're here because we know Glenn. We know Glenn is a man of character, a man of his word, a man that does what he says he's going to do. Glenn also gets things done. We have a lot of things in our city that need to be done now, right? We talked about Measure HH. We have 20 years to make that work for our police department, who we are so appreciative of. You guys do so much for us, so thank you for being here tonight. Really appreciate you. We have the absolute best police department in the country, people. These guys are awesome. We also have a great fire department. Johnny Borden and Shelby left. Are they here? He's not a fireman. He owns a pizza shop, but he's good friends with all the fire guys. So anyway, the fire guys always beat the cops in the basketball tournament because cops are working and fire guys are cooking. Right? You can say that I said that, right? So
my cousin's here. He's captain of the Corona Fire Department.
Yes, he knows how to cook. He can cook some stuff. It's not an insult. All right, I can't cook. Anyway, we're here tonight for fundraising, right? The maximum allowable contribution that you can give, so I'm going to start, is $500 for an individual. Here is my $500 for Glenn. So that's the most you can give, right? Do we want $25? Absolutely. Do we want $50? Absolutely. Do we want $250? Sure, right? We are here to raise money to get Glenn elected because he knows what the city, how to make the city continue to succeed and to exceed what it's done in the past. So what we're asking for tonight, right, we're raising money for a bunch of different things, right? A yard sign, the yard sign here costs $5, right? We want you to take them tonight. Take them, put them in your yard proudly, right? We want your neighbors to learn who Glenn is. But everything we do as a campaign costs bucks, right? It costs money. And as Glenn is a very fiscally responsible guy, he calls himself careful with money. What does it mean? He's cheap, right? So that's okay. We can say it. We're all friends here. We can talk about what the reality is. Glenn wants to save money even in his campaign. He's running a fiscally responsible campaign. Other people that have run for city council here in Fountain Valley have raised and spent $50,000 to get themselves elected into city council. Okay? That's not what we're about. We're not about raising $50,000. Our goal is to raise $20,000. We'd like to raise it here tonight, so you're going to have to get your checkbooks out. I'm serious. I say it like it's a joke, but we want to raise $20,000 to get Glenn elected. That's why we're here. It's a fundraiser. Okay? You guys are here. You enjoyed a nice meal, right? What do you pay when you go out and enjoy a nice meal and get a comedian like Glenn up here talking for 20 minutes? I told him 10 minutes. 20 minutes, dude. I'm going to kill you. Anyway, so let's talk about a couple other things super fast. What does the money go to? The money goes for things like ads in the Fountain Valley Living, in other publications. Not that there are any other publications, but for other publications as well. It goes for yard signs. It goes for bigger signs. It goes for campaigning. It goes for making, pardon? Community booths. Glenn supports so many things. Every possible thing in the community, Glenn wants to show up at and support. So all that stuff, again, costs money. Whether it's raising money to combat the things like autism or to combat childhood cancer, Glenn is the guy. So what we're asking for you to do tonight is to reach into your pockets and support Glenn for city council. So like I said, it's a maximum of $500 per person. If you're going to give $100, we ask you that you give 99 instead of 100, because we don't have to write that one down.
Declare it.
That makes sense. We don't have to declare it. I don't know how that works, but somebody smarter than me figured that out. Anyway, we'd like you to give $250. Whatever you can give tonight, please.
If you did 100 already, it's okay.
If you did 100 already, that's okay too. We're not going to give you your dollar back. We'll claim you. So anyway, you have a question? We have a PayPal account.
So if you would like to pay via PayPal, you could go to fvstrong.com and make a donation on the website. And then, I don't want to. And then also, Dr. Lisa is here. She has a credit card machine. So if you want to pay by credit card tonight, we can take credit cards as well.
So that's what we're talking about tonight, raising money. We appreciate you guys coming. It's such an honor to have you guys, to fill the room. It's always a concern of whether or not we're going to have enough people. What a great turnout, and what a wonderful venue, Wallace. Thank you so much for your successful business and for having us here. Right? So Wallace has built this business over many years. 40 years he's been here, right? I remember when it was a dirt patch. I used to play out here when I was a kid. I came to Fountain Valley when I was 4. And old man Harris had a horse farm out here and used to flick cigarettes at me. Anyway, so reach in your pockets tonight. Let's support Glenn. I appreciate you. Like I said, we appreciate you being out here tonight. Appreciate you showing your support. What we need you to do is show your financial support tonight. So like I said, Dr. Lisa Angelisi has a little credit card swiper back there. Feel free to jump on her and get that done. Or you can go to FB Strong. Well, not like that, but you know what I mean. Jump over to her table. Come on, guys. Go with me here. All right, I'm the comedy act of our two comedy. So anyway, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate you guys, and have a great night.
Thank you, John. Hey, once again, just real quick, I so appreciate. I can't thank you guys enough. I hope I earned your support tonight. If I did, make sure you tell all your friends on Facebook and on social media. If I didn't, well, then don't say anything. Also, please take a yard sign with you tonight. We have lots of yard signs. If you do take one, make sure that in the blue sheet when you were up front that you marked it off, so I know that you already have one and I won't bug you to get another. And it has holders too, yes, so we have, make sure you take a yard sign and a holder for it as well. We have 150 up here, so one for everybody. And again, I'll be here answering questions. So again, what's that? I'll write the check. All right, thank you, Bill, I appreciate it. So, I'm the best fundraiser, I think, in all of Fountain Valley for nonprofits, but I'm the worst for myself. It's so hard for me to ask money for me, but I really appreciate everybody, helping and doing what you can. So far, just true transparency, I've raised $4,000 to date. So we've got another 16 to go in order to be successful. that's what it's going to take. And a lot of my competitors will outspend me over 2 to 1, but with a committee like this and with people in the room and the support, that's what I think it's really going to take to win. So I really appreciate everything again tonight. I'll be here to answer questions. Thank you for your time. We went way longer than I expected. So have a great night, and there's cookies and stuff. Enjoy. Thank you all again.
Got it.
All right, let's
There you go. There you go. Awesome. Thanks. Have Mike take a picture for us. You want it sideways or vertical?
Sideways. Horizontal.
Wait, horizontal. I will. It's always better to go down or up. I can drop that already. Yes. Okay, Ryan. So we came in a little late. I've done it for about 2 years.
Thanks, guys. You can make a really cute picture.
We're going to be blowing up Facebook tonight.
This is these two. How are you? Since you were
That's also 50% off. So if you're running the process, so basically you only have to pay 50% off. So basically, you don't get the
perfect. Thank you very
Thank you. It was a great night. You did a great job. It was fun. I think it was fun for everybody that was here. So I great job. I was not expecting it. I'm in. I still remember.